right. So, like I said, again, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Um, I'm really hoping that the people who watch my videos can really learn something educational from you who actually does this as a living.
Right.
So let's start. And pretty much the first question is, tell me about yourself. And pretty much what made you get into photography?
So my name is Sydney. I am a wedding and portrait photographer. So I am from the Southeast Michigan area. I serve pretty much all of Michigan, mostly Southeast Michigan. So I've been doing photography since high school. So I went to Europe. This okay, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a backstory. I'm not gonna go too far into it. So I went to Europe with a group of other like students from around the country when I was a sophomore. So I was 15, I think.
Hmm?
And my mom was like, let's get you a cool camera, I think it was like a Nikon, I don't even know, it was like a 3300 or something super entry level,
Hmm.
brought it along with me and I like was just taking pictures the whole time and loved it. So then I enrolled in a photography class at my high school and then I learned like film in the dark room and I fell in love with that. So film is super fun.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and so from there I kind of just, picked it up and I never in high school especially I never thought like people would ask me, "Oh, do you want to do it for a living?" And I was like, "I don't know, I don't think so. We'll see, not really." And now here I am, however many years later, and I've been doing it professionally for about 3 years,
It's awesome.
as a business. Yeah, so that's how I got into photography. Actually, my cousin, who I still was on the fence about if I wanted to do it or not, and my cousin
Hmm.
like, hey, can you just take my senior pictures? I don't really want to go through anybody crazy. He was a boy, boys sometimes how they are with senior pictures. It was more for his mom,
Yep.
I think, than it was for him.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
so I took his and I was like, hey, I kind of like this. And then from there, I started getting a couple, slowly but surely. And then I became a registered LLC and have been, going strong ever since. So
That is awesome. Now, the last person I interviewed, Kitty Novak, she started off with film as well. Now, how do you feel about film and digital? Like, which one do you enjoy more to shoot?
So I haven't done anything with film since high school, and
Hmm.
it makes me so sad. So I prefer just right now. That's because what I do is digital, and I've
Hmm.
never like taken a film camera to a professional shoot. Like one of my paid sessions.
Yeah.
I do love. I just love being in the dark room, but I don't even know how it would work right now with like because the dark room was supplied by my high school. So I didn't have to
Hmm.
go far or pay anything to use it. So I loved it there, but I can't speak too much about on it now just because I haven't used it in so long. But if the opportunity came up, I'd love to just go back in the dark room and see what it's all about again and get back in the groove because I just love being in there.
That's awesome. I actually may give film a chance one day. Just like like she recommended, it's like when I'm doing shoots, actually just take a film camera out, snap a couple pics of film, and see pretty much if I enjoy it at the time. 'Cause I think that'd be very interesting in doing that.
Do you just send it out then to be developed?
Mm, I will. I will.
Okay.
Like she's saying that's what I should start doing that. So
Oh,
like I
you
never
should start
develop
doing
film.
that. So that's what you would do
Yeah.
though, is just send it out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I'd love to kind of try it. So that's a good idea. I never even like kind of thought of it as a possibility. I just didn't even but I do love it, but I am a digital
Yeah.
shooter right now.
Peter McKinnon said something one day on one of his videos, which is actually pretty hilarious, and you may relate. He was saying that you do not know the meaning of fear until you shoot an entire wedding on film and then send it out to LA for it to get developed.
You have no idea what you're getting back. Oh,
Oh
I can only
man.
imagine. I like have that fear when I'm like driving home and I've got like, I've been looking at my images in the back of my camera all night or
Yeah.
all day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope when I get home and upload them, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I can imagine having to send it out with never looking at the back of your camera.
Man. That's scary. Yeah.
Very
That is
scary, but
scary.
props. They're beautiful images. I love the film look. Beautiful. So totally
Mhm.
worth it, but definitely probably scary.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let me pull this up. Hold on. Okay, so pretty much, I think you kind of covered this, but if you can go in a little bit more depth, um, how did you find your niche? And pretty much, what is your favorite style of photography to shoot? I know you say you started with your
Um,
cousin.
Right. So I started with him as a senior. From there, I
Hmm.
kind of just got seniors, like a couple of like little kids, families, and I did that for a couple years, and then I started booking engagements, and I was like, wow, I really love working with adults more than I like working with kids. Like I love kids. I
Same.
have a child. I love kids, but
Hmm.
like being around them and interacting with them and like photographing them are two separate worlds.
Yeah.
So in the niche of like that aspect of like what kind of photography, like what kind of portraits, that's kind of how I found
Hmm.
my way into weddings. Is just by I love capturing like two people, preferably older, you know what I mean? Like adults, not
Same.
like
Same.
children, because I just love capturing the love between those people and just working with like older the older people, not
Yeah.
children, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I
I
do
do.
still love families and I love being able to capture families, but that's how I found kind of like my love for couples and weddings. As
Hmm.
far as style, so I kind of played around a ton with what I liked, what I didn't like when I was first starting out, especially before I was like a business, charging anything. I would kind of just go out and shoot whatever. And eventually I found just the style light and airy is what I shoot now. I don't really know like light and airy, bright and airy, just like bright, clean. That's kind of the style that I shoot.
I could tell because you do some amazing work. I looked at your grid on Instagram. I looked at your work. You do some amazing work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And the reason and you may have fell in love with that type of style because that's what attracts you. And it's so easy to shoot something when you enjoy the setting that you're in.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I try it like my house. I try to make it a little lighter and brighter, and
Hmm.
just that's what makes sense. It's what I'm attracted to. That's what I love. The images I'm looking at, the venues I love to go shoot at. They're all like super pretty and white, and so
Yeah, same here. Like I said before, I enjoy shooting sunsets. And I told you, like, I worked a crazy shift yesterday and went back this morning. If somebody wanted to do a sunset shoot today, I would just go do it because I love doing it. And like I said before, that it does something spiritually to me. I enjoy it a lot.
yeah.
So when I go shoot during that time, it don't feel like it's a burden.
Right, right, because you just love it, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the best part about it for me too, is just when you love it, it's like it was funny. I did a maternity pictures for a close friend of mine, and we drove together there, and we were driving back, and she's like, "So, does it feel like work ever?" Like she actually said that to me, and I was like, "Honestly, no," because I also work another job, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Same.
so it's like, no, that feels like work to me, but this
Yeah.
never does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people think we just point and shoot, and that's not the case. There's a lot of work that goes behind getting a really good photo and even getting a
Mhm.
great photo. But at the same time, if you love what you do, it don't feel like it's work.
No, not at all. And for me, the big thing is like client experience too. Like I love interacting with clients like before the shoot, kind of planning everything, sending them my tips, anything I can help them during and after, that's part of it too for me that I just love.
Yes, yes, awesome. That's awesome. All right. That's awesome. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
So here's everybody's favorite question. What
Okay.
camera gear do you use?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I currently shoot Canon. I have it next to me. I'll pull it out just because it's my baby. I love it.
You said you have
Um,
what?
I said I currently shoot Canon. I said I have it next to me, so I'll pull it
Oh, okay,
out to show
okay.
you.
Okay.
So I just recently switched
Wow.
to the R6 on Canon.
Oh, really? How you
I
like it?
was it's I love it, but it is a little bit of an adjustment. The focusing of it is really
Hmm.
awesome, like all the focus points, it's so different.
Yeah.
Because I was shooting, and as my backup, I use my Canon Mark IV,
Hmm.
Mark IV. So I just within the last like less than a month ago upgraded to the R6,
That's
and it's a
awesome.
little bit of an adjustment. I've shot a full wedding on it so far, a couple of portraits. So I love it, I do, but I still do love my Mark IV. So I'm kind of learning. I think once I get a little bit more used to my new R6,
Hmm.
I will, you know, get more used to it and just fall in love with it like I did with my other ones. But
You know what? That's pretty interesting because a lot of people who shoot Canon, like before the new R cameras came out, a lot of them used to shoot with the 5D Mark IV. And I do find that interesting. And I heard that I heard the shutter, I can't talk right now. Sorry. So I heard the shutter button when that thing used to take photos and it sounded like a cannon. All you hear
yeah.
is deuce, deuce,
Uh-huh.
deuce. I was like, man, wow, no wonder his name Cannon.
I know. And then especially compared to this one now, the R6 is
Yeah.
like silent. Like I had a second come with me for the wedding last week or a
Hmm.
couple weekends ago, and she was like, "Wow, it's so quiet." I
I
was like,
know,
"I."
right?
It's like kind of weird. I feel like I'm not doing anything with it, but it's taking pictures.
Yeah, it's awesome. I gotta remember to turn down my shutter button tomorrow because I'm gonna be doing a communion. So I gotta remember to turn that down
Oh,
tomorrow. But
yeah. You can turn off the beep for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting though. Like I do like the R6 and the R5. I know they had the issues, and I do both photo and video, but I shoot Fuji. But
Okay.
I respect Canon for finally coming out with capable cameras like that that can do both video and photography very,
Yeah.
very, very well.
Yeah. And I don't do video at all, but I have heard
Hmm.
similar things, from other videographers and things.
Yeah, they do an amazing job. Are you using RF glass or are you still using EF glass?
So I have one RF. When I upgraded to my R6, I also got 24 to 70 in RF
Okay.
glass. And then I bought the adapter so I could shoot EF with my 50 millimeter 1.2. So
Hmm.
I have both.
Okay. Which one do you enjoy more? 'Cause a lot of people compliment the RF glass a lot.
I love so far I really like the RF, but I love my 50. If it was like an RF 50, I think
Mm,
it would be different, but it's hard to compare
yeah.
like a 24 to 70 like zoom
Yeah.
to a 50 prime. But I
You
do
know
love
they sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love my 50 and my primes.
Like you know they just came out with the RF 50, right? Not too long ago.
I did see, yeah. But I just kept my 50 EF
Hmm.
from my previous body.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I didn't upgrade it, and maybe eventually in the future. But I think the next lens I get will for sure be an RF prime.
You know, that's funny because there's a lens I want to get, and I kind of don't need to get it now. But I'm like, you don't look like in the future I'm gonna get it for sure. But
Which one is it?
now I can wait a little bit. It's on the Fuji 50. Sorry, it's the Fuji 950 millimeter f1.
Okay. So it's a
F1.
50. I don't know much about Fuji, but I know the numbers. I know what a 50 is and looks
Yeah,
like.
so on the crop sensor, it's a 75. It's
Okay.
75 millimeter, but it's f1 though.
F1?
Yes,
I didn't even know they
f1.
go that low. Wow.
Yes, yes, it's f1, and
That's awesome.
I think I'm gonna rent that lens one day and just try it out because
You'll
it
have to
looks
let me know how
amazing.
it goes.
I definitely will.
I had no
I
idea they
definitely
even went
will.
that low. I thought 1.2 was as low as it got.
A full frame, yes, but on crop sensor,
Oh, okay.
at least for autofocal lenses, yeah, f1's like the lowest to get. Now
Okay.
you have Mitacon, you have some manual focus lenses that go down to
Right.
0.09. No, sorry, they go down to 0.095.
Wow.
I know, right? Like talk about shallow depth, man. Woo!
Yeah, no way. Especially for people, no way. It'd be so hard.
Exactly. Now I know how to manual focus, but even then, I know I'll have a hard time manual focusing those lenses.
Right.
So I'm gonna try that lens out eventually. So
Let me know how it goes. I'd be very interested to hear about
I
it.
definitely will. I definitely will. So okay, sorry. The next question is: do you use Lightroom or Photoshop or both?
I use Lightroom all the way. So I try to avoid Photoshop at all costs. I know it. I know it well enough to use if I have to, I don't
Yeah.
know the ins and outs like certain people do. I'm not an expert by any means, but I do
Hmm.
know it well enough to do if I have to, I'll take it into Photoshop. But I
Hmm.
do most of all my editing, like 99.9% in Lightroom. About the best it gets for me in Photoshop is I'll take it into like extend the background of an image a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, I stick to Lightroom, just because I've kind of learned to shoot right in camera to where I don't have to do too many edits in post. So Lightroom is perfect for me.
Thank you. I'm so happy you said that because I've been starting to do that at least for the last year or so, where I get the look I want in camera first. So
Yes.
that way, when I go to Lightroom, I already have the look, and all I do is pretty much just play around with the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like you, I do about 95 to 99% of all my heavy lifting in Lightroom. And I only go into Photoshop if I need to either replace the sky, add some bokeh, or retouch some skin. But other than that, all my editing is done in Lightroom.
Right, right. Even for me, like with like retouching like skin and stuff, like
Mhm.
blemishes or whatever else, I do that in Lightroom too, just with like the heal or the spot tool.
Yeah.
Because I don't do anything crazy in depth with that. But
Hmm.
yeah, Lightroom for me too, all the way.
I need to learn how to use the healing and spot removal tool in Lightroom because
I
I
think
tried it before and they feel a little finicky compared to the ones in Photoshop.
yeah, no, I can see that because Photoshop's really made for that.
Yeah,
But for what I use it for, it works.
yeah. See, I need to do that because another photographer, she's a web photographer. Well, and I did a second shoot with her one time. She told me like she have all her own brushes in Lightroom set ready
Mm-hmm.
to go. Do
Yeah.
you do the same?
I do. Yeah. I set them all up a while ago. I purchased a couple like when I first started out and then I kind of tweaked
Mm-hmm.
them. It was just like a set, not a preset of the whole image, but like the preset for brushes.
Yeah.
And I did. And so now I've kind of just have those to fall back on to like smooth out skin, stuff like that if I
Yeah.
need to.
Now that is awesome because you've been doing this for 3 years, and you know with weddings it comes. How can I say it? It's like a certain look you want to capture when you capture wedding photos and even edit them. So,
Mhm.
do you buy presets to use, or do you develop your own presets now and use those instead?
I don't buy presets. If I use a preset, it's my own that I've created, but most
Mm-hmm.
images, what I like to do is take like a batch of images, like from one like 10-minute, 15-minute span of portraits or the ceremony, or one thing where I'm not changing my settings the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
edit like one or two out of those, and then I sync them all. So there's a little sync button in Lightroom where you can just
Yep.
sync all the edits all the way across, and you can pick like how much of what you want to, cross over.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I don't want to crop every image, I can like not crop the image when I
Yeah.
sync it, you know what I mean? So I do that and then I go through and like edit little tweaks to individual images if I need to. But I don't really use a preset at all. Except for like I have in my head what I usually do to every image, like what I do to
Mm-hmm.
start off as a base jumping off point, and then
Yeah.
like I said, I sync it and go from there.
So you do the same as I do, and I started to do that when I was shooting events, where like I have tons of photos.
Yeah.
And when I first started out, like everybody else, I would go through and edit each individual one, and it took forever
Mm-hmm.
until I discovered that sync button.
Yes.
And just like you said, I added one photo that have multiple photos in one area. I added that one and then sync that photo to those other photos, and
Mm-hmm.
it worked out so much better.
I know it is a huge time saver, stress
It is.
saver. It's so nice.
It is. And just like you, I don't buy presets. I use my own
Mm-hmm.
only because I want to learn how to create. I want to learn how to edit these photos, and I feel like using somebody else's presets or even LUTs for videos, you don't get to learn anything. You just see
Right.
their style, and that's all you know. Like you don't have a chance to experiment with different colors, different looks, and all that.
Yeah, and figure out your own style, which is a huge part of it. Is like shooting is one thing if you know how to shoot, but then the editing style you can shoot, is completely different.
Exactly.
That's something you play around with.
Exactly. Like you could be an amazing editor, but you could be a crappy shooter though, and then vice
Right.
versa.
Right. And it's
And
you got to have a good balance of both.
exactly. And just like you, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve when I shoot my photos or even my videos. So that's
Right.
awesome. I'm glad
Yeah.
we agree on that.
Me too.
Okay. Okay. So the next question is: do you have any tips for beginner photographers or even veteran photographers to help capture better photos?
Okay, so I thought about this one because I knew you were going to ask something along those lines. And I kind of already touched on one point, which would be learning to shoot right in camera. So,
Yes.
Um, I know there's photographers of all sorts of levels and experience levels.
Yep.
So my first thing would be to learn your manual mode. And I know some people hear me say that they're like, duh, like why wouldn't you? But then other people are like, I'm so scared of it. You know what I mean? I've
Yeah.
never even thought about it. So that's my
Yep.
first tip is manual mode all the way and learn the ins and out of your cameras.
Hmm.
Um, so you know how to shoot right in camera. And then my other big thing is, especially if you're shooting like an event or something like a paid event or something, anything like that, is to take your time and slow down and make sure you have all your settings right in camera so that way you don't have to worry about like fixing it in post. Like
Hmm.
in my earlier career days, I would like look at it and be like, oh, I can just fix that later. I was like so like flustered during it and so stressed out and like nervous during my shoots that I
Hmm.
would look at it and not love it and I just like cross my fingers and hope I could fix it later. So my biggest tip is to slow down during the session or the wedding or whatever you're doing and get it right in camera. So you don't have to
Hmm.
like cross your fingers later on.
Exactly. And I say this in my last podcast too. Like I like to shoot overexposed by half a stop or even one stop, depending on the setting. And the reason I do that is because I feel like it helped my photos to pop. It helped my
Mhm.
subject pop more when you let in more light. And this is really unique to the camera you use because I shoot with a Fuji, so I'm allowed to do that with the dynamic range. And like I said, when I go to post, I take it into post, like it pops the way I want it to. I don't crush my highlights. I really don't
Yeah.
even bring my shadows up that far. I add a little bit of contrast, and other than playing with the colors, I pretty much like the exposure in the image I capture because I'm pretty much I ain't gonna say 90% there because I still edit, but I'm halfway there when I capture the look I want in camera
Right.
compared to trying to create it in Photoshop or Lightroom.
Right. No, I the same way. I should just like have a stop or stop overexposed. The most situations depends on, the background and stuff like that. Or
Yep.
but like majority of the time I shoot a little overexposed. And the other thing is depending on the style you want to shoot, I would recommend looking for the spots that like kind of fit your style and your lighting, like know your lighting principles that
Yep.
work for your style. Like for me, it's like even light everywhere, nice clean backgrounds, nothing too like heavy in the background or dark or distracting, because I like to focus my like the literal focus of the camera obviously on the people, but then
Yeah.
just like where you place them on the people in the picture as well. So that is my other big tip, is knowing what to look for with your backgrounds. And it can be as simple as like an angle change sometimes, or you turn this
Yep.
way and there's your background. Um, so that's
Yeah.
another tip I would give.
Exactly, because there are certain situations where like the subject may like the spot, but I don't because of the lighting.
Yeah,
And I will literally say, we need to go find somewhere else because this just won't work out. Or I even take a photo and show them like this is not gonna work
I've done the
because it
same.
may be too dark.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. And it's part of that is like learning to educate your clients and be like, look, you
Yeah.
hired me for this style. This is a beautiful place, but it's not going to give you that style, and it's
Exactly.
so it's education for sure. And every now and then, like especially in the beginning, I would like just do whatever they said. Be like, okay, you want here? Okay, okay, let me take it, and then I'd hate it later, and I'd be like, I wish I used that time somewhere else. That I,
Same.
so it's learning yourself and then also teaching your clients.
Same. And I think it would really help me start doing that because I would like to specialize in portraits. That's why I like to shoot. I actually love to shoot it. So and I really want to create a really good image when I shoot those portraits. So if I feel like the area that we in are not going to give me that good image, I'm not going to shoot it. Like I said, I'll tell them like we need to go find another spot, or let's try a different angle, or let's do something where we can get good lighting on you, where you're not one overexposed or two underexposed.
Right.
Because or underexposed, you could bring it back, but still won't give you that look you're going for.
Right.
But if you're super overexposed, then
There's no
goodbye to all
coming
that
back.
information. Exactly.
Right. No, yeah, you can't get the information out of that. I know what you're talking about. So yeah, I think, and it's sometimes it's as simple as just like saying that exactly, but like, just
Yep.
sorry if you can hear my daughter just woke up and she's in the
Oh no, it's
background.
cool. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's cool. Don't worry.
But sometimes it's just as simple as like explaining that quickly and true, and they trust you. If they're hiring you, they trust you. So,
Exactly.
or hopefully anyway. I've always had my clients trust me, luckily and thankfully. So it hasn't been an issue, but learning to address it is really important.
Yep, exactly. Which this is why I really don't just shoot baby showers no more, because they hired a photographer, but their venue is not really keen for photography. Especially those venues a lot of time have black ceilings. Just like it's not gonna work out. So that's
Yeah,
one
no.
reason why I stopped shooting baby showers.
Yeah, no, I can see why. I mean, even with weddings, sometimes like you can't control the venue. So it's like
Yep.
finding like spots that you wouldn't even view as photo spots normally, but like from a photographer's point of view, you know what to look for.
Yep.
And sometimes I get the weirdest looks, like, really, you're gonna take me there for pictures? And then they end up loving them.
Exactly.
It's knowing what to look for and finding spots. But I can see like a baby shower, there really is no like formal portrait time. It's just event
Nope.
coverage the whole time.
Yeah, it
So
just
yeah, I can
go,
see that.
go, go, go.
Yeah.
Now when I did my friends last time, I brought a flash. I brought the whole setup, and I just had everybody come over towards flash because at first it was too wide, tables everywhere, and like you said, it was really no real portrait time. So I just
Right.
had everybody come over to the light source, and it
Yeah.
worked out. It worked out. If you needed to, it will work. But at the same time, though, you're not mobile. So if you move, you gotta take that light stand with you in
Yeah,
that soft box,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah.
Man, that is awesome. That is awesome. All right. So the last question. Wow, this actually went by pretty fast. Thank you. The last question will be, who is your favorite photographer? And why has he or she inspired you?
So I love, and the reason like I started even in the style that I'm in are Amy and Jordan Demos. I don't know if you've heard of them. They have a pretty good following and they do a lot of education. So I started learning there, like they kind of taught the techniques in their shooting and editing course that I took. And then from there you get put in this Facebook group, and then I just love their style. I love them as people. They're amazing educators.
Yep.
They're super down to earth and humble. And I just, that's kind of how I fell in love with the style is after I started seeing their stuff. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
it came, that's where it kind of stemmed from for me. And a lot of too, just like my business principles, like the way I go about doing business and just like client centered business is
Mm-hmm.
largely thanks to them and their structure that they've been able to teach me through their courses and stuff. And just
Yep.
like it's given me a whole different perspective on just like the business side of it too,
Yeah,
and how to
because
treat people and how to go about doing it. Not that I didn't treat people right before, but just having a different
mm-hmm.
viewpoint sometimes. So I really admire them, look up to them, and recommend them to everybody that I come across looking to learn their camera and their settings.
That is awesome because we was talking about earlier how a lot of people think we just playing shoot, but they don't understand like when we buy these cameras, they are investments. Like
Yes,
the Canon R6 costs like what, 2400 dollars.
it
The
was like
Fuji
26
X
by the time with tax and everything. Yeah,
exactly. My Fuji X-T4 cost me about 1800 with taxes.
right.
And the lenses on the Fuji are
Like the
expensive as
same price.
well.
I
Yeah.
know. The
Yeah. So
27 yeah, the 24 to 70 I got was like $200 less than the camera itself. It was like ridiculous.
exactly. Now this lens I'm shooting on right now, which is a 16 millimeter f1.4. This lens by itself, brand new, costs $1,000 on this platform.
Yeah,
I got it for seven something, but still $1,000 for a lens.
I
Like,
know.
so people don't understand why we charge the way we do, why we structure our shoots the way we do,
Hmm.
and why we run everything as a business.
Right.
Like we don't buy these cameras or just scared to just play around, play games with. Like, no, this is investment, and we're looking to get our investment back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is awesome. Well,
Yeah. So
that's go ahead.
I also just want to add too that I think it's super important for photographers if they're gonna be especially doing weddings and charging to really look into like becoming a legal business to cover yourself and to cover your clients and all that
Yep.
sort of stuff. So I think that's important to educate too and just let people know like absolutely do it for fun and as a hobby and even like for your family and friends. But I think it's super important when you're gonna be taking such a big responsibility and people are going to give you their money to look into becoming a business and getting insurance and all
Mm-hmm.
that. I think it's really important.
It is because people don't understand that when you get an LLC, you separate your business assets from your personal assets, and
Right.
that's why having an LLC is important. Now, once you have an LLC, you could do different types for taxes like S corporations and all that, but you
Right.
want that
Right.
LLC in place to separate your house from your business. So
Exactly.
that way, if
Exactly.
you get sued, your
It's
car is
you're not
protected.
losing everything. Right.
Exactly, exactly. Your car is protected, and your house is protected.
Yeah. So
You're,
that's how I went about it. I'm an LLC and I'm still learning the whole business side of it.
mm-hmm,
It's a lot. Like I know I'm an LLC, I know I do my taxes, I know how to do that, but like there's so much that goes into it. So it's definitely I get it. It's a big commitment, it's a big
mm-hmm.
thing, but I think it's super important to do regardless.
Yep, I agree because I'm actually looking to have mine done within the next few weeks to a month. Because I know like I'm starting to partner up with some people. Not like actual like business partnership, but they need help with certain events or weddings. We'll call
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
So I already know like even for that, like you said, I want to have that protection in place. So I'm looking to have my LLC done within the next couple weeks to a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is really important and that really does get overlooked a lot of
It
times.
does. It does, especially, and there's just it is, I hate to say it this way, it's a super oversaturated market anywhere in the country you go, which
Yep.
isn't a bad thing by any means. But I just
Hmm.
like I would feel awful for somebody if they were charging somebody and you don't know, people sue for stuff,
Hmm.
like you can't
They do.
control it and then you're in big trouble sometimes. You can be anyway. But so
Exactly.
that's why I'm a huge advocate for it if you're gonna be pursuing something like this as a career.
Exactly. Exactly like you said, people sue or they don't want to pay you. So
Right.
and I had that happen once where somebody didn't want to pay me. And I told him, I was like, send me my money. And he didn't want to, so I deleted all the files off the drive when he didn't want to send it. And needless to say, the next day he sent me my money. And even when he
Yeah.
did, I didn't put the photos back on the drive.
Right.
Cause,
Right.
Cause I'm like, you chose the venue. It was your decision that the venue was half dark to where I had to retake a lot of photos or I couldn't even get great photos
Yeah.
because the venue lighting sucked. So for you to say, oh, you took you and Kesher everything in one photo, or you had to redo the photo many times. I'm like, that's your fault, man, not mine. So you
Right.
offer me to do the service, and I try to do the service the best I can, even with limited. How can I say this? Even with limited space or
Agree.
limited lighting. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I also think it's super important for to have contracts in
Mhm.
place. Like no matter what it is, even if they're a family, like even if I'm not charging, or if they're well, I guess not if I'm not charging. If I'm not charging and they're that close of family or whatever, I
Yeah.
put a contract. But like almost all the time, I'm always doing contracts, even if I know them. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
they'll never sue me. Contracts are
Yeah.
so important to have in place because they make sure everybody knows what to expect. They know what to expect from me and what to expect from them, and everybody, you're covered in that way too.
Yep, I agree. And I'm using HoneyBook to manage my contracts.
Yeah, that's what I use too.
Because it's actually nice that you can actually email them and they can send them back. And you had the contract signed right there. And so you had the
Yeah.
contract signed, you could text them, say send a deposit. So.
Yeah, I use HoneyBook and I love it. It's awesome. And I've purchased outside contracts that
Mhm.
I like use, but I for a long time I used the HoneyBook contracts and I
Yep.
think they're awesome and they come built in and they cover the
Yep.
basics.
Yep.
So I highly recommend that.
I agree too. And like I said, I'm glad you brought this up because this is what a lot of new photographers need to know, that if they want to start a photography business. Like you could be like me, where you could just do it for a few years, and you're not making a lot of money, but you can still shoot.
Yeah.
But soon, the moment that you start to how can I say this? The moment you start to actually increase your business, you starting to get real customers. People are really start reaching out to you.
Hmm.
Have your contracts in place and have your LLC in place, or at least start
Absolutely.
your LLC, because that
Right.
can take a minute. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally on the same page, and I do also agree that it's important to talk about. I don't know if people just don't think about it, or if they just don't think that it's ever going to happen to them.
Yep.
Um, but I think as soon as you
Hmm.
start charging money, like you said, and making more money, it's a necessity. Yeah.
Exactly, especially when you charge someone like $1,500 plus for a wedding. That's
Right.
a lot of
Right.
money, especially in the pandemic.
Right.
That's a lot of money. So,
It is. Yeah.
but
So, and just like I said, have all your bases covered. So you're covered, and so your client can have peace of mind too. I think is a super important part of it.
exactly, because as you know, when you're doing a wedding, that money is not only an investment that you spend on your camera. Your clients are investing a certain amount of money with you to really capture their day and their memories that are
Yeah.
important to them.
Yeah.
So if they don't like you, they will sue.
Yeah, and there's no
Because
do-overs either, and that's so
exactly.
scary. Still, it's so scary. And I make sure I have like backups on backups of like my cards. I shoot two camera
Yep.
bodies, and each camera body has two cards in it that are
Hmm.
backing up. So like, I'm covered that way, but still, it's just like
It's crazy because
scary.
during the ceremony there are no redos.
Right,
You
right.
can't tell the pastor like, hey, can you repeat that line
When you
for
come
me?
back, it right, exactly.
Like, no, you can't do that. So like, yeah, I learned that when I shot my first wedding. I learned that, and they wanted me to do video and photo, and like a
At
dummy,
the
I
same
agreed to
time.
it.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, and like a dummy, I agreed to it, but never again. After that
Well,
day,
you
I was
live and
like,
you
nope.
learn. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So now, and I don't even want to do wedding videos. I just want to do wedding photography
right.
because video is a lot of work, and I rather capture somebody's special moment and freeze it in time instead of trying to make sure my exposure right, trying to make sure they're not overexposed or underexposed in video. Trying to
Yeah,
make sure I'm capturing audio. It's so much that goes into it.
yeah.
No,
And
just
I've
let me pull
heard
my
like
camera out. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've heard video is like, well, you can't edit right like you do in photo, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
like you
you
can
can't.
just, oh, shadows here, like, it's
No, unless you
completely
shoot
different.
raw video. Unless you have a cinema camera and shoot raw video, you can do it. But even still, you need to be careful with how you
Right.
record. It's
Yeah, I've heard lots about it and I give applause to everybody who does it. I think it's amazing and I think I have all the like knowledge, I think, to be able to figure it out, but it
yeah,
still just seems like it's a lot. And
yeah,
I give major credit to the videographers out there.
yeah. I mean, it's scary sometimes. I mean, even when like I do my YouTube videos, I have my setup like I'm using now. Like I have a light right here and all that. Have all this in the background. I still have to make sure it's not overexposed because when I get
Right.
into post, and if it is, I'm gonna have to redo that video all over again because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just hard to bring the information back.
Right. Exactly.
Man, so well, thank you for coming on today
Yeah.
because you gave a lot of
Well, I'm
education. I
glad.
think my people will enjoy this. especially when you brought up contracts and you brought the LLC, because Katie Novak did the same thing, and I think it really helped people to understand the urgency of getting those two down. So, like you said, you could protect yourself. You can separate your personal assets from your business assets and liabilities.
Right.
To where,
Right.
like I said, you won't lose your house, or you won't lose your car, or you won't lose your personal bank account. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so is there anything else before we sign off?
I think I touched a lot, and there's so many thoughts running on in my head because I could talk about this all day. I just love it. I could talk
Same,
about it forever. Um,
same.
but I think I guess, learn to treat your clients, right. I mean, it's all about, yeah, taking good pictures, but providing a good experience is what people come back to you for,
Mm-hmm.
from a business standpoint, and just learning, soaking up everything you can all the time, I think is important. Never stop learning. I'm always learning. I love doing stuff like this to learn from other people. And
Yep.
I think that's one of the best parts about it. So I'm gonna stop before
Amen.
I go on forever. But yeah, thank you for having me. It was awesome.
No, thank you for coming on. It was awesome, and I do the same as you. I learn as much as I can because that's the only way we get better. So,
Right.
well, I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
Definitely thank you for coming on. Send me your social media handles so I can actually post them in the video as well. So
Okay.
that way people know where to come follow you and look at your work
All
because
right.
you
I'll send
do
them
do an
over.
amazing job. So
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you
I
so
hope you have a
much.
good
All right.
day.
I'll send those over right now. But thank you. It was nice to talk to you.
All right, nice to talk to you too, and thank you. And let's link up soon because we both live in Detroit. So
Right.
let's do a
Exactly.
shoot
We will
soon.
for sure. We'll be in contact.
All right, awesome. Talk to you
All
soon.
right. Thank you.
All right, bye.